If there is one practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power, it's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. No, it's this. Inspire your moderates to vote in the primaries. Get that base excited. You have the numbers. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to be afraid of.
The Democratic National Committee has erupted into utter chaos, and Bill Maher isn't pulling a single punch. You'd expect him to show at least a trace of sympathy for a party stumbling through confusion, lost without leadership or vision. But no, he's going all in with relentless fury. The outspoken real-time host lit up the stage with a blazing critique aimed directly at AOC and the Democrats, accusing them of refusing to face their crushing defeat. His words didn't just sting, they burned like fire. Let's dive straight into the storm and feel the heat explode.
People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for them.
Maher opened the show with pure, unfiltered frustration. And you could feel it in every word. He's furious that the very party he's backed with his vote, his money, and his influence has pushed him aside again and again. Despite being one of their loudest cultural voices, they've refused to stand beside him or appear on his show. He's sent out invitation after invitation to top Democrats, yet not a single one accepts. Why? Because they're terrified of tough questions and crumble when faced with real debate. Instead of standing firm, they hide in their echo chambers, proving Maher's point that the left has grown fragile, defensive, and intellectually soft. But here's the twist. What about the Republicans? Are they really any braver?
The Republicans? They show up. And when they do, they take their beating like a man. You went down to Mar-a-Lago and kissed his after that.
Oh, bullshit.
When the Mueller report came out, I feel like you mischaracterized it, and I feel that was shady. But you campaigned for election deniers in 2022. This I do not forgive. The Republicans, including you, January 6th, etc., are the ones who are no longer willing to play by the rules of democracy. Amendment 22, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And yet you keep talking about Trump's maybe you should have this. Here,
Republicans, to their credit, have fired back more than a few times, sometimes landing sharp blows, other times tripping over their own words. Sure, some of those jabs may have hit Maher where it hurts, but that's not the real story here. What truly stands out is that win or lose, the Republicans actually show up. They sit across from Maher, take the hits, and keep swinging, even when their points aren't perfectly polished. That willingness to face the fire, knowing they might falter, shows real grit and accountability. Unlike the Democrats, they don't hide in safety. They confront the storm head-on. And that fearless attitude speaks louder than any speech ever could.
I would love to have AOC on the show, and Mamdani and Elizabeth Warren, but I can't subpoena the guests. And I can't fix that what the Democrats are scared of more than anything else, I mean, obviously besides gluten, is being primaried from the far left, even though most Democrats are not far left. They're mild-mannered and moderate, at least at my bathhouse.
It's no mystery anymore. The far left has taken full control of the so-called woke movement, and it's roaring louder than the Democratic Party itself. What's truly alarming is how the party keeps bending under pressure, chasing every radical demand instead of standing firm on real principles. It's as if the DNC has completely lost its backbone, trading courage for compliance. Now it's a hollow shell, desperate to please the loudest voices rather than speak for everyday Americans. What the Democrats desperately need isn't another timid leader bowing to outrage. It's someone bold enough to shout, "Enough!" and finally break free from the far left's grip.
Even though most Democrats are not far left, they're mild-mannered and moderate, at least at my bathhouse. If there is one practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power, it's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to be afraid of.
Bill Maher couldn't have hit the nail any harder. In recent years, countless moderates have quietly drifted away from the Democratic Party, some even leaning to the right. These are lifelong Democrats who now feel abandoned by a movement hijacked by far-left radicals. Many would return in a heartbeat if the DNC showed even an ounce of courage to stand up to the ideological bullies controlling the conversation. But instead of reclaiming balance, the party tiptoes around these extremists, living in constant fear of outrage or cancellation. Until the DNC cuts ties with this radical influence, moderates will stay away, leaving the party trapped in a miserable loop of fear and surrender.
Do you think that he would have the power and influence to be able to, like, usher in socialism?
He definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party
I think
nationally.
the Republicans are going to...
When you let the Democrats, socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get.
Let's be crystal clear. Bill Maher's warning couldn't sound louder if it came with sirens. If the Democratic Party dares to crown Zoran Mamdani as their 2028 frontrunner, they might as well gift-wrap the win for J.D. Vance. Maher argues that Mamdani's brand of woke, socialist politics might thrill Gen Z voters craving radical change. But here's the cold truth. Numbers don't lie, and demographics don't bend. Gen Z may be rising, but they're still far from the majority. Millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers dominate the polls. And Maher insists Mamdani's rhetoric will drive them away in droves. Betting everything on a far-left crusader like Mamdani isn't bold. It's a spectacular act of political self-destruction.
If you're engaging with a psycho who all they care about is controlling you, they're very good at diagnosing problems. Yeah. They're very good at figuring out what your weak points are. And that's, I would argue, what a lot of these people are doing.
That's right.
They recognize that if you can focus on these problems, then you can, use that dissatisfaction to gain power for yourself.
Right. To me, Mamdani isn't showing true leadership. He's fueling frustration. He zeroes in on real problems not to solve them, but to weaponize them for power. Instead of offering smart, workable ideas, he stokes anger and resentment, deepening the same divisions he pretends to fix. It's a tired old trick. Blame others, stir emotion, deliver nothing. And let's be honest, socialism, no matter how shiny or modern it looks, has never brought lasting success anywhere. Yet so many young voters, unaware of its past failures, are swept up by Mamdani's lofty promises. They hear beautiful ideals dressed as progress but ignore the real price: economic collapse, lost freedom, and social chaos. He's not guiding a movement toward solutions. He's selling a fantasy the world's already seen fail, and the crowd cheers without question.
This must be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah. I think every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again.
Some of us have studied history, and we know exactly what socialism leaves behind. And it's never a pretty sight. We're not cheering for Mamdani's success. In fact, we're hoping the opposite. The real goal is to wake up more Democrats before disaster strikes and they realize too late what kind of chaos his leadership could unleash. The warning signs are flashing like neon. Policies that sound uplifting but collapse in reality. Promises that stir hearts but wreck economies and freedom. What voters need now is sharp vision. The ability to see through the slogans and charming speeches to the destruction hiding underneath. If Democrats truly want to save their party, they'll block him at the polls before he drives it straight off a cliff.
Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't be a mess. So, when the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism.
On paper, socialism looks so perfect. A dreamy world where everyone shares everything and no one is left behind. But reality tells a harsher story. It's been proven time and time again to fail miserably compared to capitalism. At least with capitalism, even with all its flaws, hard work and determination can lead to success and opportunity. You can build something for yourself, for your family, for your future. Socialism flips that promise upside down, hiding inequality behind false fairness while the elite hoard the rewards. Ordinary people, no matter how hard they work, end up with nothing but struggle. The result isn't justice. It's misery wrapped in illusion. History keeps shouting the truth. Socialism doesn't lift people up, it chains them down.
One must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses, we know they are stupid, just don't say it.
Sadly, that's exactly how the left often views the right, as clueless or backward people who can't think for themselves. It's a lazy, dismissive stereotype they cling to, allowing them to ignore conservative ideas without ever facing real debate. To them, anyone who supports MAGA or holds right-leaning beliefs must be ignorant, close-minded, or morally flawed. Meanwhile, they crown themselves as the enlightened ones, wiser, kinder, and morally superior. But history always humbles arrogance. When you look down on your opponents, you stop seeing their strength, and that's when you lose. The left's fatal flaw is pride. Blinded by self-righteousness, they miss the frustrations that fuel millions of Americans.
You can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates. You're the teachers' union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to both.
When everything's said and done, the problem with the Democratic Party and the far left goes far beyond policy. It's arrogance, pandering, and a total refusal to learn from history. From Bill Maher's fiery warnings about the danger of elevating woke socialists like Mamdani to the frustration of moderates who feel betrayed, the message is impossible to ignore. Socialism might sound noble in theory, but in practice, it's always ended with power in the hands of a few, while ordinary people suffer. Yet blinded by pride, the left still insists they're the moral heroes, sneering at conservatives as if they're beneath them. That arrogance has always been their undoing. If Democrats keep surrendering to outrage instead of standing for reason, they won't just lose elections. They'll lose their future. America needs fearless leaders with conviction, not timid followers trapped by extremism. And that's exactly the fire Bill Maher wants the nation to feel.